You, you, you. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Make sure you like the show. Subscribe to the show. Y'all can't hear me. You. Yeah, yeah. What up, Sue? How you been, bro? Good to see you here. Thanks for showing up. Gonna be discussing sources tonight, bro. Be a little quick, John. You trying, bro? Trying, bro. We trying to get our consistency back popping. Some things is coming. Some changes coming in motion. Switching our conversation dynamics. I was talking shit today and got my ass whooped in a matter of 20 minutes. Trying to go head up, thinking I was dope. Then I got stomped. Yeah, I went a little early to let people get enough time to come in. I know my brother be coming all late, so I said let me go early. Oh, shoot up. What y'all over there doing? Sharing the show, bro. Good looking. Good looking. Please share the show. Like, subscribe. We got some more shit coming. Ooh. Ooh. If you know me, I'm probably gonna try to run the Staples. Like I was, yeah. You. I don't know what happened to my squad. They dissed me today. It's because I'm taller. I get it. Being 6'3", it ain't for everybody. Take my meds, set it off in here. You. Put a one in the chat. Let me know y'all in here. I just got put on to some information that I was going to go over today so y'all can see it. Hope y'all can see it. Peace, Chauncey. Peace, Chauncey. Thanks for showing up. Let me shout y'all out real quick. Peace to Travel Love Coffee with a K. That is Travel Love Coffee. I'm actually going to put y'all in the joint, bro. I'm going to put y'all in the chat real quick. Peace. You took the link, like, share the show, do whatever you got to do. Party time, party time. I'm going to be super brief. I know people be busy. Now it's the last day of your holiday. All right. Hope y'all can see this. It's a quick little book I got put on to today by brother Saneb. I hope he come in today. I might have jumped on here a little too fast for everybody. I can't even find where my shit at. Y'all see that title by Dorothy Porter, Early Negro Writing. A lot of primary sources with a little quick introduction for them. See that? African Society in Boston. Because I was talking trash like I had more sources than everybody, like I was the shit. And then you see what happened. I got my ass whooped with one book in less than 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? But I do got sources and I want smoke. So I just wanted to let y'all know I want the smoke. So I went and got the book. I'm going to buy the book too, but you can always use your free resources. The Internet Archive always got some hot shit on deck. You just got to search. So I'm here to show you. So what he was putting me on to is one, that this book by Mrs. Dorothy Porter is what the actual people were saying during that time. And we don't have to listen to the opinions of so-called experts, or I don't want to call them so-called experts in the field, that are putting their ideas on the information. We are critical thinkers and able to read on our own, and we can read the primary sources and come up with our own opinions about the material and be able to have discussions about these materials. Another source he was talking about that we were discussing is also the Freedmen's Journal, 1827, first black newspaper. And I just wanted to let you know that it was important that you get these sources, because I will go down your throat with these after I'm done reading, because I'm going to tear through this, because he whooped my ass with this in like 33 minutes. I felt bad. And so I was like, okay, let me get on my shit. I mean, we went through a host of other books, some of which I pulled out off my little bookshelf. What's poppin', Zane? Oh, Goon, you know I'm going to go in on them. Source Wars, let's have it. You know what I mean? Show y'all some love. And so some of the other books that we were discussing is one, Negroes with Guns by Robert F. Williams. It is a must read. It's super short, about 100 some pages, 124 pages, talks about his self-defense stance. Something you should read. Also, this nonviolent stuff that gets you killed gives a better perspective and understanding about Martin Luther King and the nonviolent movement. While they were nonviolent, they were not dumb. Oh, there go the link. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, hold on. Let me get you here, champ. I'm sorry, sir. Boom. Please hit that, sir. I will jump you right in here. I'm waiting for you, Ken. Maybe I should stop sharing. And I should probably be able to see. Yes, sir. It's Dorothy Porter. I went straight to archive. Straight to archive. Please hit the link. I'm waiting for you, Ken. There you go.
What up? What up?
What up, bro? Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, definitely.
Yo, I see you got that Dorothy Porter.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna buy the
Right
hardback. It's $24 on Amazon for anybody want to get it, but it's also free to rent or borrow here at Archive. Internet, yeah, and I start reading the table of contents immediately.
Right.
Yeah, so and I wanted to show people and just keep discussing what we was earlier discussing on Clubhouse, just about having sources and how to get different perspectives on everything. But before we move,
let me go grab mine under my strap. Hold on.
Oh, please go hard.
Let me get my joint.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get my tool because I'm gonna be on my deck.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we're gonna grab because we're gonna stick right with Dorothy Porter because
Absolutely. I think this is an amazing little joint just coming into the beginning. The fact that it got the laws of the African Society. And then
so I mean shit, that's appropriate if we start right there.
There it is. Let me get the
We ain't
page.
gotta dig. We ain't gotta dig too far.
All right.
Page nine. Page nine. If you got the full joint, you know what I'm saying. Hold up. No, no, y'all get bread. Peace, peace to the joint, man. Y'all follow Black Brown Table, yo. This
Please
my
and
joint.
thank
Hold on, let me share this. Hold on, let me share it first because I want to pay homage.
you. Please. Sir, thank
All right, but yeah, you get these misconceptions in regards to the black community during this time, and the book that we references is Early Negro Writing, 1760 to 1837, by Dorothy Porter, and it's sort of a compilation of different black intellectuals, thinkers, politicians during these times in which that was previously described. So it's a tool that we can use to sort of ascertain what the black community or the leaders in the black community were thinking during this period of time that we were liberating ourselves. So I think it starts out with the late 18th century, right? So we
you. Yes,
speaking about Prince Hall, we talking about Boston, we talking about Richard Allen, Absalom Jones. We talking about a Northern African descent experience that is in tune with not just the free Black Negro experience, but also the enslaved Negro experience that it has ties to, a cousin, mother, father, sister, brother, baby, whatever we wanna call it. So we can see the formation of not only the Black community, but a Black consciousness political movement in the late 18th century. And Dorothy Porter's Early Negro Writing does a beautiful job in sort of quelling some of the apprehensions of this period. We don't have to argue currently in 2021 about what Black people were doing in the late 18th century. The words of the Black people who lived during the late 18th century tell the story for themselves. So you don't have to necessarily acquiesce to a modern Abo Indian who thinks that the Irish were Africans. And these
right.
were the Black people that the Spanish and the English, Portuguese, the French, the Dutch, the Swedish described. They're not the same people. So it's appropriate to look to some of these primary texts and documents and source material for the sort of clarity in regards to who these people were. So I think with Dorothy Porter's Early Negro Writing, 1760 to 1837, it gives you a glimpse into that. Because hold on, let me pull up the
Yep.
I'm gonna pull up the index, man, so everybody can see and all. If you can show on the screen so people can see it too. So I think with
You want to
chapter
share?
one
Okay.
or part one, it begins with mutual aid and fraternal organization. So it speaks to the laws of African society, right?
Sure.
It sort of not forgets, but it leaves out the Free African Union Society in 1784 or the Free African Society in 1787, right? It
Right.
speaks about the constitution of Black people, the New York African Society for Mutual Relief. So that's William Hamilton. That's 1809. People got to think this is the creation or of the Black independent free community. So this is William Hamilton in 1808 stating the course of Black folks, yo. So you don't necessarily have to believe the narrative that Melville Herskovitz or some
Mhm.
other person sort of gave you this history. You have Black people who are living during this period of time that are giving you how they feel um, the amelioration of Africans should go.
Right.
So I think it's important to sort of hone to these sort of, I mean, again, on page 33 of that text, it's an address to the New York African Society for Mutual Relief delivered in the Universalist Church, January 2nd, 1809, by William Hamilton. And, I know a lot of people hate on the church, but, the church at this period of time in the beginning of the 19th century was a vehicle that African Americans used to sort of, because you got to think this is a Christian nation. We've, as African people, have been able, whether it's the Spanish in the 16th century or the English in the 17th and 18th century, to sort of fashion our critiques of the positive law and how it relates to us, and how it sort of disagreed with the theological law that we see the world was establishing during different provinces at the time. So we sort of maneuvered through Catholicism and Christianity as a way to ameliorate ourselves. And again, this text right here is the end all. I ain't gonna say it's the end all be all, but if you're not using what the ancestors said in your critiques, your understanding of what we are doing right now, you behind the eight ball. Because all of these situations that we find ourselves in now in 2021, the ancestors have already found themselves in it, have already navigated it. So it's important for us to use these texts to combat what we're seeing currently. And the ignorance of these texts is unfortunate because it allows the ops to continue to employ the same tactics on us, the voter registration laws, but that's a separate conversation.
Oh man, go hard. Nah, please go in. Like I say the same thing. Like I've
Go
been
ahead, brother. I go on mute.
Oh no no no! Please, like I've been recently getting into Hubert Harrison, right? And I've been feeling like he was way ahead of his time because he was addressing shit that's going on right now too, concerning voting, concerning being a citizen, basically overall, just to keep it short. And I'm agreeing with you. That's why, like with this, that I immediately went to go find it. Like I said, I made a quick run, came back straight to the archive for it, found it on Amazon for 24. Again, please get the book if you can't buy it, please just go to archive.com. You could borrow it for 14 days. And please continue. You know, big bro. Saneb, can you hear me?
My back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You good? Nah, keep
All
building,
right,
bro.
I'm over here sharing. Hold on. Give me about 5 seconds. I'm sharing. Hold on. We're
Handle your business.
live
Yep, and then while you
now.
doing that, let me, I do apologize. But hey, this is Saneb from Each One Teach One, formerly MBK. People's historian, been putting us on the black information from day one. If you're new to our channel, please go subscribe to their channel, Each One Teach One. You will find information that is very helpful, very useful. Uh, I'm going to put a link in the chat before we're done so that you can definitely like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Talk shit. If you can back it up with your sources, we'll discuss it. But be serious. Again, I was talking shit earlier. Like, let's go head up with the sources. And this man did knock my shit off in like 30 seconds. And so this is the source that we are
No, don't
discussing.
frame it like that. We were sharing information.
True,
This is
true. Let me
something
not
that
frame it
I
that way.
was able to that I was able to get, and then I'm sharing with the brother. So,
Yes, sir.
Dorothy Porter, please check her out.
Yes.
Separate of the primary that you're using, you sort of figure out how we moving into information because there's a sort of a paradigm that's been created that this information that we're using has been given by Jewish Anglo Europeans, and it can't be
Mhm.
further away from the truth. These are black people who are living during the Ma'afa, documenting the Ma'afa, and it, describing their experiences. So, for those who disagree with this history, I think it's appropriate to provide them with the sources that we're currently speaking on right now. So, this idea of the Negro, the African, the colored, again, though Dorothy Porter puts it at 1780, excuse me, 1760, uh, we understand the dynamics of the transatlantic slave trade and how it affected the African and their descendant, and how they created organizations and maneuvered through the Ma'afa. So this just gives you a glimpse, not just a sort of a macrocosm of the overall census of Black people. So again, when in regards to citizenship, in regards to immigration and colonization, in regards to education, in regards to political activity, this is a great source to sort of point you in the right to get your azimuth on point. Anybody who's familiar with land nav, you understand that the azimuth is important. The azimuth lets you know what road you need to start. So I think this text is appropriate because it gives you a back azimuth. If you get lost in your journey to find out who you are, you can come back to Dorothy Porter's joint, and it allows you to sort of, get your azimuth back on point and get your map in order for you to figure out who you are. So, for anyone who has a question regarding Black history, the Black political thought, the connection to the African continent, regardless of what it was called, um, the, early black populations during the 18th, 19th, 20th centuries is the part of the corpus regarding the thoughts. And though we may have had different, ideas how to liberate ourselves, regardless of, any of the efficiency of any of them, it was meant to liberate us and our posterity. So again, thanks Black Brown Table, thanks to the brothers who own here, because I think this is a conversation that needs to be had. And in the absence of this type of literature, I don't know what the current black person in 2021 is talking about regarding what the people during this time frame were doing, because certainly they left a record that's appropriate for investigation.
Amazing. And so yeah, I'm probably going to try to get into this heavy. And then what else? When researching about Black history, a Black culture, Black citizenry, excuse me. What other steps can we take other than, well, along these lines? What other tools can we use or avenues should we look at when discussing this information so that we're on even footing when in certain arenas where there's others that have a lot more to say about our community and a lot more power over our community?
I mean, it's really on us at the end of the day. No other culture is responsible for making sure you understand yours.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, and I've said this on Clubhouse, the new challenge of the 21st century is figuring out how to establish a virtual black community separate from before we were in our own clandestine communities of all black people. Then it moved a little bit. Now I think the meter is so far out that we have become ingratiated with the suburban life that we're separate from the black community. So you have a lot of black folks who will be considered as bourgeoisie based on where they live. But I think the important part of that is you still face the same issues: access to resources, access to education, resources for your community. So it's like the racism and white supremacy mutates, and if the Negro is not able to educate themselves appropriately, they're going to miss those nuances that will let them know that their current issue is similar to something of old: voting rights,
Mm-hmm.
what political party is appropriate for them at the current time. This is nothing new. But I think as black folks, these type of mediums, the Black Brown Table, each one teach one, it's not necessarily on us, but it's a part of our journeys to ensure that the babies have access to this type of information. The circles we in individually, that the babies in our circle have access to this information, so we can continue it. That's the job of the griot. So in this new day and age when everybody have access to the internet, it's difficult. But even though we have these different distance of opinion, it's still appropriate for us to apply these same ancestors to sort of beat this up, because we're on the A side, regardless of how people feel, what spaces you're in. You're on the A side. The current white historians and these popular institutions, when they talk about Black history or Africana studies, they're quoting the individuals that we talk about. To be clear, Blythe and Crummell, Cuffy, 14,
Mm.
Hamilton, Jones, Richard Allen,
Mm.
David Walker, Cardoza, all these black individuals, Joseph Rainey, the modern historian quotes those black figures that you have free primaries for and charge you 60, 50, $40 for their books. You can get the primaries for free.
For free.
So you don't have to ascertain what Robert Small was alluding to. You can go get what Robert Small said for himself. But that's what the white historian is doing when they sell you a book for $50.
Exactly. Like I got
So
go.
go ahead, bro.
No, no, no. Continue, bro. I apologize for interrupting. Oh, nah, Saneb, you teaching right now. I do apologize for interrupting. Continue. Well, while you doing what you need to do, I'm gonna bring up some information like based
Gotcha.
along. Okay, okay.
I just don't want to be overbearing, because
Nah, you
it ain't
not
just
at all,
about
bro.
what each one teach one.
Nah,
What each
you
one
not
teach
at
one
all.
say or what Saneb say. this is what the consensus of what we understand from what our ancestors said. So with that, you're not losing no argument with nobody in 2021. You're not, because if you don't have these texts, you don't have Black literature. How are you able to debate Black literature or know what somebody said in the 17th, 18th, 19th century? You don't have it.
You can't.
You dig what I'm saying? Nobody can debate what the Negro said in the 18th century if you don't have what Negroes were saying in the 18th century. Anything else is hogwash, poppycock.
Poppycock. I like that. Hogwash. Poppycock. And so, all right. So as you're saying, you was like starting a digital forum for us to regain our culture or control of our culture. What would be one of them steps? Like maybe a conference of some sort where there's a meeting of the minds. Like me, I'm of a mind that we have too many talking heads. I think that the people like you, the people like Ogun, the people like Coach don't have the time to apply what may need to be done other than what we can do individually with our homes. And so, how do we? Is it a conference like the FBA situation, but we do it digital and we talk about how we can, I don't know, pick a topic that we can all get under the banner of, and with this kind of
Yeah.
information, use. Yep, continue, go ahead. Yep, I apologize. You know, I
I
can run my mouth.
mean, I think we should, hone to what the family did in the 18th, in the 19th century. They had conventions, though it seems remedial, but it also seems effective because they were able to, in the spite of disagreement, able to vote on some shit. Like you may have a plan, I may have a plan, but there's certain elements of our plan that the constituents, the people that we represent, also agree with. So in that kind of conversation, we can come up with a legitimate plan to ameliorate ourselves, and we voted on it. And the following year, the stuff that we weren't able to achieve, we rehashed, rethought, re-engineered, and applied it to the next year. So I think in-person organization is effective. There's no other means of in-person organization. If, COVID, illnesses prevent that from happening, there is multiple platforms that allow us to congregate internally to have these kind of conversations. So when, just like the ancestors did, whether it's your local, you can be in California, Idaho, Texas, Nebraska, Tennessee, it don't matter. When you employ these same tactics locally, I'm doing that as well because we've already talked about it. We understand our state's law, our state's constitution. Because if me and you don't understand that in 2021, we at a disadvantage. Because though our ancestors in 1871, they understood that. And they formulated legislation, appeals, and petitions off the understanding of positive law. So
Yeah.
we have to gauge ourselves and see how serious we are about it because our ancestors were. They knew what the law was. And they used it to their advantage to ameliorate the social condition of Black people. That's why you have a 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
Correct. I just got Justice and Jurisprudence the other day. He dropped it. Continue. I apologize. Because where I'm at is we have to do something. At this point, this is like the last hurrah in my eyes for Black people to get access, for us to unite, organize, do something that is going to be beneficial so that our children aren't having these same conversations later on. And with that, like, all right, so how you were saying how they organized, they stuck together, and they had a common goal that brought the majority together to at least hear each other out, make a plan that they could all vote on, and then act on that plan. With the way we are now, what would be in your eyes, or well, yeah, in your eyes, the best possible way for us to unite under the banner of Black? What would be the driving force that would unite us to get organized, to actually put in the work, to show up to the meetings, to learn how to get the vote done, and create these organizations?
And you put me on the spot because that's a very, arduous question. That's tough. The last Negro convention or color convention was 1899 in Hampton. So, how do we have to start defining roles because that prevents those from suggesting that we're romanticizing this kind of history rather than engineering a think tank to support our political apparatus. So once we figure that out, it's like then how do we begin to fashion politics and not just my community where I live, but the community that you live? You can't get that no other way than meeting, whether it's virtually or in person. So we have to use these tactics employed by ancestors because it's the same shit. But we ain't listen. We arguing about the same topics Negroes was arguing about in the late 1700s. We got to understand that, and then we got to be able to ask the question: why are we still arguing about some shit that's 300 years old? You mean they still haven't thought that you being another human being equally? Why not? They grandbabies is here. They saying they don't know nothing about this shit. They saying they don't know what racism is. They wasn't a part of it. But why do they treat you the same way they ancestors treated you? So I mean, it's a deeper philosophical question. So I think we have to be weary as the ones providing education when people present us with these end all be all solutions. You don't go to your local high school asking them why they still teaching history about Christopher Columbus.
Right.
You don't say why you're romanticizing American history. But when a black person begins to investigate where he or she came from, it's romanticizing. It's just unfortunate for the victimizer because they are unable to provide evidence to fix their position. They looking bad, but it's okay because we have the information. We don't have to rely on people outside of black culture to tell us what happened in black culture. So I want somebody to hit that link because I have time tonight. If you want to have this source of war,
Oh, I'm waiting on Coach. Coach in the chat talking shit.
what coach at,
No,
yo?
you
Cause,
know,
cause, cause listen, cause I'm gonna tell y'all something, yo.
uh-huh.
Black people are specifically people of African descent are best qualified to have this discussion, particularly those who have access to the ancestors' resources. So if you don't have Dorothy Porter's Negro writings, 1760, you behind the eight ball because
Right.
you don't know. You don't know that the Negro was talking education and mechanizing and industrious in the late 1700s. You don't 1800s. You don't know that.
Yeah. I'm gonna give
Hit
him a
them. Hey yo, hit them. Hey, I'm looking at the chat real quick. Yo.
go ahead. Go hard. Talk shit. Coach, you need to hit the
What
link.
about what about critical race
Already.
theory? I want to have the critical race theory conversation.
Let's
Let's
have it.
have it. Let's have
I
it,
think
yo.
that is the discussion that really does need to happen. I think that you're a person that should be involved in that conversation, just as well as Truth, Ogun, Coach, people that
So
actually.
all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get the pot hot.
Let's get it.
Who has a problem studying Black history?
I have no problem with it. I think it is the
So can we fashion right now Blackology as a certified substantiated study?
yes.
All right, so us as Blackologists,
Hmm.
us studying Black history, because that's what ology means.
Right.
We know what Black means,
Right.
the social, political culture of people of African descent in the diaspora. So we studying them people. So what about them people that lived during the Ma'afa in the 17th, 18th, 19th century had so many people confused?
I think that has to do with a search and loss of identity, wanting more power in this particular time in a situation where everything is in chaos and there is no underlying values to the black community that we all like adhere to. And so it's open to a bunch of fucking bullshit. And you get these dudes who's running around and they get these half cracked ideas without following through with all of the information, and you end up a fucking Indian or I ain't even. I
But
mean,
what about those? We gotta deal with the dissension upon Black history first,
okay, let's go at it. You
right?
discuss.
So what about the ones who suggest that the history that the present African has been given has been saturated by Europeans?
You just pointed out a black history document that's showing you with Negroes they're lazy.
But
They're
everybody
lazy.
don't believe Saneb. Trust me,
But
niggas
you
don't
know,
believe me.
I believe
I
it.
don't.
I've listened to
I don't
them.
want you to believe me, but that's the point. I don't want you to believe me.
Mhm.
I want you to get. I don't want you. I want you to go to the primary so you can see the same shit I'm seeing.
Oh, listen, bro. Hold on now. We could go to the primaries. I'm with you. Like I'm. Let's get it cracking. We can talk
Let's
about
go
like
to the
I'm
primary.
currently reading Ida B. Wells. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm reading her
Okay.
autobiography, telling about her journey through the
We
whole
talking about
lynching.
before. Wait a minute. We before Ida B. Wells. We talking about
I'm,
late 18th century.
okay,
Ida B. Wells wasn't around during this time.
hold on. Let me get my little folder, sir. I see you want to
So,
go.
wait, I'm talking about Negroes as they began to self-emancipate. Negroes when they began to fashion communities. What did they say about their communities and what their origin stories were? If they didn't create new ones, they adapted old ones. None of them included Indians if they weren't already amalgamated with them, and none of them did not include the ancestors.
All right, so we're gonna do. We could talk about Kosovo. I mean, Kosalua.
Who?
What you call it? You know what I mean? The Barracoon.
Okay, the Barracoon. Okay, so what was the Barracoon to the Negro?
The Barracoon. Talk about the last slave ship joint
All
and
right, so
how.
we talking about a prison. That's what
Correct.
the Barracoon was. It was a prison.
Yes, at the end, on the coast. That's how they kept the
This
slaves.
all right. So where is the Barracoon for the people
Oh, it's on the
who
west coast of
listen?
Africa,
So they know the Barracoon at.
part of the slave
So you
market.
talking about a place that enslaved Africans before them Africans got on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So slavery existed before they came to the Western Hemisphere,
This is correct.
right? So, but more specifically, slavery existed amongst the Europeans indiscriminately to the type of slavery that the African imposed on other Africans.
Correct.
Or was it discriminately? Was it like we like damn, yo, this is a different type of enslavement.
It was definitely a change.
All
They
right,
took the paint on it like we were less.
see,
And we weren't enslaving like them. We was enslaving war and shit like that. And you became a part of the society. And then when the trade really started cracking, yes, you're gonna have a few, but also some of them people didn't even understand what they was getting into with them. So
I think more attention need to be paid to the
it's a
Africans' interaction with Catholicism. So before you left the continent, the African already understood that acceptance of Catholicism didn't mean you couldn't be enslaved. So once you went in the 1600s and you were enslaved in Veracruz, and you know, hold on, I'm gonna give y'all the book. Where my phone at? I'm gonna give y'all the text, yo. And y'all lucky, yo, because you know how I came in. I don't know what's on that reference, but when I came in, you had to just find this joint.
yeah.
You had to ask the right question to get this. Well, this is kind of newer, but I'm gonna give it to you.
Okay.
Um, it's called Africans in Colonial Mexico, 1570 to 1640. Again, it's called Africans in Colonial Mexico, 1570 to 1640.
Africans in colonial Mexico. 16.
Africans in colonial Mexico, 1570 to 1640.
About to try to find it
So
now.
what this is written by a brother named Herman L. Bennett. He wrote another joint called African Kings, Black Slaves. Also, he wrote Colonial Blackness, a history. It's like a breakdown of history of people of African descent in Mexico. But what he uses is matrimonial, uh, which marriage licenses, legal disputes of Africans or people of African descent living in Mexico or New Spain during this period of time. Because when people hear of inquisitions, you hear about the main joints,
Mm-hmm.
Portugal, Spain. But Inquisition was just a way of Inquisition is nothing more than elaborate questions to try to find what happened with a situation. An investigation is an inquisition. So we see in Mexico, based off Herman L. Bennett's work, that a lot of these records, well, half of the records specifically identify people of African descent. So we see how Inquisition was used to regulate the movement, the character, and the life of people of African descent in Mexico or New Spain. So if you haven't read Herman L. Bennett's book, I recommend it because you see how Africans or people of African descent use Catholicism or Christianity as a way to maneuver white supremacy, specifically marriage licenses. If you live in fucking Osaka and someone else was on Veracruz and y'all married, you could regulate how the quote unquote master bought or sold you. So enslaved Africans, being Christians, were entitled to conjugal rights. You can have conjugal rights if your wife is halfway across the world, right? So you
Right.
use Catholicism and suggest that based off this divine right of conjugal rights, my wife needs to be near to me. So you can lobby for either you to live on a plantation where your wife is or vice versa. But though you see it in just that sense, you see an overall sense of how Africans outside of the New World quickly understood Christianity and its laws and manipulated to fashion some form of community where they were. And at this period of time in this book, this is in Mexico, or República Las Españolas.
He hit her with the Spanish. Cut it out.
Yeah,
Cut
you
no.
gotta get the Spanish.
Yeah, nah, nah.
I don't
These
like it,
dudes
but
got some-
you gotta. I failed Spanish too. I
I ain't even going.
had to go to summer school to get Spanish too.
Man, I didn't even get that far, so we ain't even gonna trip. I'll pick up. You know what I mean? I could tell him I want to make love and cuss you out a little bit.
But you got the information about how to sort of figure out. Herman L. Bennett. I think his work is currently the standard in regards to the Afro Mezito life during this 17th 16th and 17th century. So
Yeah.
this goes to show too this thing of being black and African ain't just exclusive to the Americans. It's bigger than that.
Right. Oh, going screaming for us to get back on track with CRT.
Okay, all right, I mean, listen, no school currently teaches CRT. CRT is from a more journalistic legal lens, specifically when identifying, describing, outlining racism. Just off that strength alone, there's no argument. We're not arguing whether CRT is legitimate, though you may have your particular disagreements with the 1619 project and that scholarship. What's what's set in stone is that systematic racism exists.
Correct.
I think people use the disagreements of the scholars in regards to the 1619 project. They use that against the validity of the project. No, that's just a specific aspect of the project that we want to make sure is refined properly before we present to the public, rather than suggesting that the CRT as a whole is in question because this small, particular, minutia part of how we analyze a certain case causing it's a different understanding.
Do you feel like it's true? Like
Which
based off of
has
what
her.
I've read about it, and I did the introduction for primary corners for everybody who doesn't really want to read it. Just go play those. I believe it to be true. Me and Ogun discuss this all the time. You could take all the racists off the planet. The system is still built for racism, so it's going to work regardless of whoever has the power. And it's built for white power. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like we can't really
Well,
get
what
around that.
about the critiques? What about the critiques, the scholarly critiques of CRT? Do you feel that plays a part in the overall understanding of CRT? And do you think that it legitimizes CRT?
Not at all. I think that it is really just posturing to keep the myth alive. Like literally, I heard about 3 days ago, um, a news reporter on a certain network everybody's pretty much familiar with that I'm not trying to get wrapped up with. Literally said, even if it's not true, we need to project it. And so that kind of goes along the lines of how they have torn down every community only to rebuild them in an accepted way into society, except for Black people. They don't really go into it as far as how I'm mentioning it. And I'm kind of like just seeing that and how it applies to us based on personal conversations and reading. But in my opinion, it's all just the shit to keep the shit going. That anybody who's against what it's saying is either deliberately trying to go head up with it to keep their established roles straight, or they haven't really taken a look at what America's founded on, how it kept itself going, these other communities that have come in here and built themselves up, and what their plight was moving forward. The Irish weren't white first. You see what I'm saying? Like Nell Painter, she wrote a good book called The History of White People. I think everybody should read that. And this kind of goes along those lines of what they're discussing with that and how the law has treated it. And I think it's true to be. You know what I mean? Like, and people that really go up against it to say, "Oh, this is all bullshit," they either haven't read it or their established placement in it is working to their advantage for it. And racism is just what it is. And you?
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. But it goes back to the individual's willingness to understand who they are. That's the brother.
Right.
That's the crossroad I feel that we are in.
Are we
You
going
know,
to be American or African American?
not that, but in our new environments where you may be, for me, for instance, I came from a more urban, country saluted environment to more. I'm now in a more conservative space.
Right.
So it's difficult for me to forge those community ties, that type of activism from my current position. So it's important for us with the age of social media to continue this because if not, it's going to be difficult to sort of explain why we need reparative justice. Right? You see what I'm saying? So it has to
I
be a
do. I do.
we have to maintain the continuous stream because this is not a broken stream of water here. This is a continuous example of actions similar to those who want to prevent a certain group of people from participating in the civil government of the United States. Without knowledge of that, it's easy for those to say, "Whoa, this is just a regular law. This ain't got nothing to do with y'all." But it's the absence of understanding of what happened before that, right? So, I can see why it's important. I can see why it's not good to romanticize. But for the majority of Black folks, when I came up, I mean, I understood the importance of the AME Zion Church, but I understood what it did for me for a community base. I knew what it was to go to church on a Sunday morning, stay there at 3 o'clock because all your parents, grandparents was down there voting. I experienced it. So though I didn't appreciate it when I was 12, 13, it made sense to me at 35. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But for those who don't have a clue about what this institution was about and what it did, it's even a deeper level. So not only do we have to educate those who don't know internally, we have to educate those externally. But the internal folks takes up all the energy.
Right. And that falls into the discussion we're currently having about exterminating the brutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, do
See,
we
you
we
put me in a
leave that?
corner.
Now I'm not. No, listen, bro. Listen, no judgment here, bro. This is real discussion. We need your opinion. One, you have successfully become a part of society. You see what I'm saying? You are productive. You have a family, a home. You have built something. The the problem for me, I think, is that we have a lot of talking heads. I repeat this all the time. It might get on people's nerves. Oh, he pilled on me. But Brad Pitt. He is shit. He'll be back. What up with you, Coach?
What's up, son?
Peace, King.
How you doing?
Can y'all hear me?
Oh, he's back. He's back. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I thought you said you put me in a corner.
I'm
To
back. I'm back.
do
Yeah, my
What's up,
damn phone
Saneb?
went
How you
out.
doing?
We back. Coach,
Are you all right, Saneb?
I'm well. Good to hear from you.
You good? Good to hear from you too, son.
Yes, sir.
You know, you talking real relaxed. I'm gonna go back on mute.
Okay. All right, but like I'm sorry for whatever. So back to what I was trying to say. What I'm saying is, we are stuck with these talking heads, and it's you who have to have this conversation. It's coach that has to have these conversations. It's the established people who have actually done shit, not these fucking clowns. You know what I'm saying? And so, no, please go in. Don't feel backed into a corner. There is no judgment here. This is just a discussion for black men and women. For us to start trying to put out some ideas that hopefully stick or at least spark some shit that we could actually start putting into motion, like you're discussing now, digitally moving into the framework and staying a part of that stream that you were discussing, and hopefully turn it into fucking a flood and do some shit. And so, nah, please go in.
Hey, I was trying to let Saneb come in, man. Go ahead, Saneb. Go ahead, bro. No,
No,
go
I
ahead,
talk.
Saneb.
I talk for a good period of time, Coach. So if you want to go in, go ahead.
Yeah, please.
No, man. You know, we listen to you, so you know it wasn't no problem. That's why I didn't even come in because I wanted you, to teach, bro. Cause we learn from, each one teach one. But man, with that critical race theory, I just want to say this right here. First, we gotta understand the media. The reason why we talking about most of this right now, right now, the reason why we talking about this because the media don't pumped it up so much. But you don't even learn about it unless you in college. You know what I'm saying? You're not finding it. And you got to be in a sociology class or something to even learn about it, or a lawyer. I mean, they even teach it in law school. You know what I'm saying? So, and basically what it does, it basically try to give you a definition of why people act this way or why certain things the way they are. You know what I'm saying? So, but my whole thing is, you know what I'm saying? Like we know we always talk about, if you take away if we take away the racism in America, will America still be the same towards minorities? You know what I'm saying? I mean, will you still have, because even if you take away the racism, you still have to deal with caste systems. So with a caste system, would it be anything different than a critical race theory?
Uh, hmm, possibly.
And the reason I say that, because anytime, and this has been shown through any society you want to go through, anytime you have a populace of people that has more than another populace of people, it's always been a different in treatment with those people. So, I'm gonna mute and let y'all go with that.
Oh, he tried to hit us with the open ended and run off.
No, I was just being quiet, bro, so somebody else can talk. But I'm just saying, if
Continue.
you took away racism, let's say we took away the racism, and let's just say we went off a caste system, because basically that's what we break down into anyway. If we broke into a caste system, will we still have a form of racism?
I say yeah.
I think you would still have a form. I would still have you would have a form of racism because the Anglo-Saxons still fashion him and herself differently from the African, right? So based on your, internal indigenous cosmology or cosmogony, you are separate from that good book. So, but because of that, unless you sort of subscribe to what the Indo-European, framework is, you're, extra ecclesium, I guess how they call it. You're separate from the time of grace, but they respect your ability to believe what you want to believe in. But it is whether we're not we want to accept what the modern framework of society is. But I don't think accepting that separates us from who we are, because those who did accept it didn't separate themselves.
TK.
I'm agreeing. Like I don't think it would disappear. I think that they keep us as a permanent underclass. I'm in full agreement with that. Like there's nothing that you couldn't go back in history and see that they didn't never want you to be able to be on the same footing. And economic reports, statistics, healthcare, education, these numbers are reflecting exactly what we're discussing. And at this point, I'm like, let's not run from it, face it, figure out how we can get together and fix the shit and not really bullshit with, you know, niggas that don't really care about who they are. Not in that essence of no disrespect to y'all, whatever you believe, but if it ain't black first, I don't really want to waste my time at this point because we losing, not the other groups. And there have been seismic shifts in how we live based on this new shit popping off, us getting sick, and economically we still not getting the money we deserve. People is working 2 and 3 jobs. I personally know a woman who works every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? And so we need to have serious discussions like we're having. I think there will ultimately always be some type of racism as long as we are not living up to, all the ideological shit that we are programmed to believe can happen. I personally don't believe in a utopia. I think someone's going to always lose. But we can definitely get into a state where we are tolerable of other people, regardless of how they look, if we work at it. But at this point, we need to become equal in footing first as a black community before I can think about all the human beings on the planet. Like, oh, let's all kumbaya that shit. But it's gonna be always there.
That being said, brother,
Hmm.
now this how the history play in. If that's the case, bro,
Yeah,
we talking about critical race theory and caste systems and all that.
right.
Was the Black Boule Society, was it needed? Was it something that we needed in our growth as a people at the time?
If we
Now,
stuck to the fucking script and got in there, got the information and retained ourselves and came home and said, hey, maybe you ain't right for college, but you are right to establish X, Y, and Z. And this is how you can do the math on it. This is how you can learn to read this. This is how you can pick up on this information. You know what I'm saying? Like now, me and Ogun was literally just talking about how we are not trying to. Let's have this discussion. Let's do it this way. All right. So
hold on,
we
TK,
yeah.
before you go to the deep end. Let me rephrase that. Okay,
Okay.
with the Black Boule Society that was started, was that needed for our people, for some black people to feel like, hey, they was higher blacks, and hey, you know, they look down because they look down on some of the blacks.
I mean, your name is coach for a reason because you got to teach somebody something. I think that their mentality again. We're getting into the conversation we was having. Um, don't let the dopeness fool you. Is something my cousin always said to me. And another thing, my man Dink told me was, "You think you the fucking man? These niggas are rock you." So, um, I think they lost who they were in the transition of getting accepted into a certain class of society. And that's where we fuck up. Like, you are not better than the man who is not making the same. And in black society, I'm saying this too. I'm not saying this as a whole. I'm talking directly to black people when I'm talking to you about this. We are we are some of the most hatingest people on ourselves at times because of success and how we are trained to treat it once you achieve it. The flip side of that is when you do become successful, don't fucking forget that there are 1,000 other black men and women who do not have the same opportunities, and given the chance, they will prove themselves. Now, yes, you're going to have stumbling blocks along the way as a community and as individuals, but
TK.
yo,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about the Boule the Bull Society that was
I'm
started in the
saying,
early
I'm,
1900s.
but no, because this is the fucking derivative of the shit you talking about. Here
Hmm.
we are stuck with this class colorism type shit that we do to ourselves. You know what I mean? And that comes to my point. We are at the point where if you don't know the motherfucker is throwing a right hook at you and you don't duck, bitch, get knocked the fuck out. We can't always keep dragging our feet and waiting for progress for other people's time. You're not on other people's time. We on our time. And you see shit running out. You know what I
But
mean?
what's Saneb think about that?
Yeah.
Saneb, you still there?
He getting a plate too, probably.
He probably on the port rib. Saneb, because then you. Well, the reason I just asked, man, because by that, of course, when we start talking about the bowl society or the bougie, we talking about the early 1900s when the brothers was coming up, big up to the Puerto Rican. When those brothers was coming up with, the Stigma 5, and all this other stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? I was raised by telling them to look at the Bole as worse than Illuminati laugh through comedy. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, bro, because my thing is they separated themselves. They had a
Check,
caste
check,
system.
check, check. 1, 2. Can y'all hear me?
There you go, bro. There you go. I'm gonna be quiet so you can answer the question.
No, I was saying, what I was asking the brother to redefine what he meant.
Telling me about the Bold Society.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Who you talking about?
No,
I
no, no,
mentioned
no,
it.
no, no. Like, all right, well, what we're saying, what I'm saying is, I think that we as a community attack ourselves at this point, more so based on what we're discussing, how the system is set up or whatever. But now we got to deal with the shit. Like, and the two sides of that are cut the nigga shit out, and the other side is because you read a book, you not better. That's the short version about what we was just saying. 'Cause I don't want to, you know what I mean? I
I
don't.
mean,
Okay.
neither meant that you were more competent, whether you had
Correct.
more books or it's about the effectiveness of the policies. That's why, whether it's the Republican or Democratic Party, Independent Party, it doesn't matter. We sided with where the party secured a certain level of freedom that we were cool with. Now, whether or not our party won is a separate conversation. But it's appropriate to acknowledge that we sided on whatever side we felt best supported our amelioration. So, we may compromise ourselves when trying to solicit resources to uplift our community. That's what happened to Booker T.
Right.
But the same thing happened to W.B. Du Bois. You can argue why did he feel so strongly about Wilberforce rather than use the resources that he had to uplift Wilberforce. But rather than deal with the minutia, we can deal with Booker T. Well, what Booker T. and W.D. Du Bois did to uplift Black people.
Mm.
and we understood the importance of that was education. The further importance was securing institutions that perpetuated Black education. And we see our ancestors doing that. So that's the part where we need to stay to. Cause we gonna disagree. That's what we have to understand. It's gonna happen, whether internally or externally. You're gonna be with some people who not gonna agree with you, but it's the part where we are able to, as men, women, vote. All right, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna agree. Whoever voted, the majority wins. We're gonna do it this way. In the when we present it with something to the contrary, we're gonna move a different way. That's the dynamics of the Black community. Period. We can't run away from it. We're not separate from the history. We're the continuation of it. It's our job to continue it. So if we don't have a plan, we in the behind the eight ball because our ancestors had a plan. They're just not here for the majority to push it forward. But if we don't have a plan, we messed up. So my plan is to make sure that my babies are equipped with information to perpetuate citizenship as well as a reparative justice claim. They got the library. It's there for them whenever I'm gone and they here, they got the library. So that's what we should be doing instead of being so uh, 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 disrupted with the internal shit because no one can disagree with Black Americans currently have a reparative justice claim. No one can disagree with it. Larry Elder, I'm for Larry Elder's plan to acknowledge the slave owners who need to be paid money. I'm with that. Who disagrees? Who disagrees with Larry Elder? Put the link in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Put the link in the chat for those who disagree with Larry Elder.
I don't think nobody disagrees with that.
I want to know who owns slaves. You don't want to know?
I want to know everybody.
I want to know. I want to know who the fuck who the fuck is owed money. I want to know who they are.
Yeah.
Who else don't want to know who the slave owners were? You gotta understand how to use the comb. Where Lamb at, yo? Bring Lamb up here. I remember Lamb's conversation.
Oh, what's wrong with Lamb?
No. Piece of the sister, but it's understanding how to use a comb. Don't you want to know who is owed money for the slaves? Don't you want to know?
Oh, me myself, yeah.
Yeah. Which person of European American descent currently is owed money? Because whatever money they own, you owed it too, right?
Man, you ain't gonna get me to argue.
Wouldn't that improve your imperative justice claim?
Correct.
Listen, we gotta be less emotional about this shit, yo. Like, let Larry Elder speak. Let all them white folks who say they owed money raise their hand and stand in line, because that's who who to target. Where you from? Oh, you from North Carolina. Oh, you a white boy from North Carolina. You own some land in North Carolina. Oh, so you may have enslaved my ancestors. So now I can drop a pin on you. I can drop a pin on this dude. Now I can move on. So we gotta understand. I don't think we understand how our ancestors navigated racism and white supremacy. Me personally. Because you have everything that they said that they weren't in front of you right now that you can read. Why would your ancestors go this extent to put down on paper these experiences? Why do you think a green book was appropriate? Why did they publish a green book? Why would Black people publish a book only identifying where it was safe to go to Black stores, hotels, gas stations?
Man, you gonna get it all deep in here. Go hard. Shit. And coach, you got any more interesting questions that you want to run from?
I just want to know.
What questions I'm running from, son?
I just want to know what y'all. I want to know what y'all think. Why would Black people want to create a book that's published monthly to identify places in America where Black people shouldn't go?
Yeah,
We was getting fucking murdered. Like, I'm with you. Like, we ain't in disagreements in that. I'm like, but I personally, as my folks know, I'm more violent. I think there should be some type of different types of actions. But I'm also
Hey,
like what we were discussing earlier.
I'm on y'all head too.
Oh, what's the deal? Let's
I
get
mean,
it.
what? I mean, where was it successful?
Where was that? No, I agree. So I take
Uh,
this. I'm more like this. I think that in areas where we are predominantly black, getting shot or abused by police, and this is a regular event, and these people are singled out, that we know they're going to do these things in this community. I think we should practice group self defense. If somebody is hurt by these people, we should show up. And if something pops off, you're in self defense of your life and your livelihood. Like, we are no less than the same people who use these laws to defend themselves. And we,
whoa, 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 whoa,
again, you going
whoa,
into the
whoa.
law, like, bro, like,
So we don't get too deep,
okay,
right? So we understand that it's important to acknowledge that citizens have the right to defend themselves.
correct.
All right. So historically, our ancestors and their constitutional right to defend themselves, they were presented with oppression. You weren't supposed to be able to defend yourself. You were free, yeah, but you want a citizen. See, that's why the 13th and 14th Amendment makes sense. Free citizens vote. Because what was the European American doing? Was he or she not fashioning policy for them? See, we're seen separate from that process when we are part of that process. So when it comes down to regulatory legislative policies, you're just as much a part of it as any other culture in America. It's just unfortunate because the policies about you weren't to your favor, but they included you. They made sure you were defined. We have to redefine that in the 21st century and see why it's important to redefine it. And it gets convoluted when we talk about it, but it's necessary. I don't know how other way to put it. I tried to go the other way. How can we put it to a way where in 2021 people outside of our culture can understand it? That's what we have to do. Forget making me and you feel good.
Mhm.
When you got to go across the street and talk to somebody else, are you able to articulate it to a point where they understand it and they are ready to support you in your ability to ameliorate your community, i.e., reparations? Because I don't know why else would you bring this history up for if you wasn't for a form of reparative justice. There's nothing feel good about your ancestors being raped, sodomized, mutilated, defaced, burnt, whipped. I mean, what's glorious about that? Other than being used in a conversation to educate your youth and to secure a certain form of reparations for that type of trauma. I don't know. That's the type of shit I think about.
I get you on that, man, and I feel the same way. But of course, I'm gonna be the elephant in the room. We can't get other people to respect us, man. When we opping each other, when that we talk about our history and how people done us, but we turn around and doing the same stuff to ourselves. But we telling these people, hey, look, we don't appreciate how you treated us, how your ancestors treated us, and it's something that need to be done. We need to receive something for that. But then we turn around and shit, can you guarantee you'll be able to make the meat? You know what I'm saying? See, that's my whole thing with that. I see both sides. My thing is, of course, yes. The history itself is nothing that me personally, I don't feel like it's nothing more horrible. I don't want to get banned. I truly believe that the way that the
Did you say
African
something about a
American,
baby?
say what now?
I thought you said something about a baby and guaranteeing something about a baby. My bad.
Oh, but yeah, I just think that I feel like we have is no other people in history have ever been treated the way we've been treated in history, point blank. But
There's been a few. There's been some.
shoot, who, bro?
The same one David Walker talked about in 1829. The Macedonians, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Spartans, the Philistines.
Recent history though.
But why play oppression Olympics?
But those,
We
okay,
we we can currently describe the oppressions of the European against the Africans without denoting to something that happened 1,000 years before.
Correct.
So we can deal with them specifically and how they treated our ancestors a generation 25 years ago. We don't have to get trapped in their theology to break down how they treated us.
facts.
We
But
can
see,
speak about black on black crime, but why not speak about if you want to employ that tactic? Fine, but why not speak about white on white crime,
but see, my
Asian
thing,
crime?
Saneb, and that's my
Why
whole
not
thing
speak
is that, like,
on Latino crime? Because if
okay,
you
but
look at
bro, I know about.
one
Okay,
last thing, and I'll give it to you.
no, go ahead, go
If
ahead,
you
bro.
look at the FBI report, all of it's in the 80 percentile. Why exclude the African rather than the Italian when it's similar? When that same Italian identifies as white, regardless of their European ancestry. But the Negro, the black, still identifies as African. They don't subcategory the subcategory for the Italian, but they ready to do it for the African. And we supposed to acknowledge just the black part of it, but don't acknowledge the Italian part of it when it comes to whiteness. That's European fashioning. Ain't no way around that. We not getting why is the focus on black interaction when those we watch movies that are predicated on Italian versus Italian interaction. But the Negro got to be a fucking ape. The Italian is a sophisticated gangster businessman.
Again, it go back to the picture painting. And that's what I'm saying to you. It's because the conversation is led by fucking weirdos. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro, and I give, and know some because I hear that. Of course, y'all give it to me, and know some. It's easy. Of course, we can sit up and compare. We can sit up and say, okay, yeah, white on white. I know it's white on white crime. I know it's Indian on Indian crime. I know that the most beat women in the country are Indian Eskimos or whatever. My thing is, we telling people, hey, look, respect me as who I am, respect me for what you have done to me in my history. But then shit, I can go out the door and get my head knocked off by somebody looking like me. Easily. Easily. I don't even have to say nothing to them.
But why does that matter?
Say what, bro?
Why does it? When does it ever? When does it ever matter the level of violence in a community? Whether or not
Because
that community is worth. We're real quick because it's a complex question.
go ahead, bro.
When has that aspect of a community been the deciding factor of whether or not that community deserves empathy? Violence happens in every community in the world outside of just black people. Humans, period, commit murder. Humans, period, commit theft, adultery. Like those things are not exclusive to actions of African people. So why do we have to decide? Why do we have to deliberate the morality of a people when those very actions we're accusing the people are happening outside of that people? You don't do that very same thing for Mexican people. You don't do that very same thing for French people. You don't do that for Irish, Scots. No, the African somehow we have to describe each aspect of the African in a sense of criminality.
bro.
That's
And
a
the reason
social construct. That in itself, coach, it's a social construct. You supposed to look at the African from the basis of a criminal because he and she supposed to be that way naturally. Innately, you supposed to be a violent rapist of specifically white women because the black women you rape don't count because they not really women. Do you understand what I'm saying, bro?
I get what you're saying. I get
This
what you're
is this is
saying, bro.
this is this is what they substantiated their literature on. You
But bro,
supposed to be a
I'm
violent,
not looking at it
but
from a
but but
point
when
of,
you define it, you try to equate us doing stuff to ourselves, contrasting what white folks are doing to us. How you gonna compare a citizen, a preteen, adolescent to a 9 month trained, certified peace officer? Is that 15-year-old, 14-year-old been through
but
nine
that's
months of
citizen. That
training?
14, no some, and I'm my answer to that gonna be is the way I answer to everybody. My thing is that person that looks like me should have more patience and more empathy towards me than that person that don't look like me.
But
I'm
we
sorry,
ain't talking about
I'm not
them.
giving that
We not talking
14,
about them,
15, 16-year-old no
coach.
excuse. Go ahead, bro.
Coach, I'm saying that 15-year-old, are you giving him the same type of structure to compromise his abilities than a 9 month trained, certified X25 Beretta X whatever it is, Glock whatever certified field Glock, range time? You know, I will assume you know what range time means. I assume we all understand what it's like on your thumb to keep compacting a fucking magazine all day because you've been shooting all day. Because people who go through the academy, that's what they have to do. You have to load your ammo, you got to shoot it. Military, you got to load your ammo, you got to shoot it. You know what it's like for your thumb to be sore. You're going to tell me that that individual is comparable to a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old.
No, he's not.
Okay,
I'm
then.
not
So when we,
excusing.
so
I'm not
chief,
excusing the behavior
chief,
of
at the
people
premise,
who use their authority. I'm talking about the behavior of the person that looks like me is more likely. He's more likely to knock my head off than that person that don't look like me. That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
saying, I'm
Go ahead,
saying
bro.
there's no evidence. I'm saying there's no evidence to substantiate that. And furthermore, historically, the one with the badge has been the one that was knocking your head off.
Mm,
Period.
mm.
He or she was the one knocking your head off with that badge on. Before that young jit,
And
that baby.
I'm not excusing that.
No, no,
I'm not
no, no, no.
excusing.
Chica, you said a lot. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that because we are now pointing the finger at internally the intranet, not the internet, but the intranet. We saying internally we have a base that don't know what structure is, and that's fine. That's okay. But what we are not also acknowledging is we have a systematic structure that has continuously and habitually preyed on this particular part of the population. The same structure that said you are not free, nigga, but you don't have a job, so I'm gonna lock your ass up for not having a job. That didn't happen 20 years later. That happened the next day. You were freed on Monday. On Tuesday, you were locked up because you didn't have a job. That's how history is laid down in context. What is it, an apprenticeship law? Are we gonna say it's okay for the state to take your children? Oh, that happens right now. The state can come and take your children because you are deemed incompetent enough to raise your children. Does that action not happen right now? Anyone, is the state able to come and take your child from you because they deem you not competent enough to raise your child?
Yes.
Okay, that's from apprenticeship laws. I describe vagrancy laws. This is you just coming off the plantation. You don't even understand. I'm free now. 48 hours later, you could be locked up for not having a job. So yes, we can point internally of the issues that were supplanted by previous course of action. But what we should be in, you know, consumed with is dealing with the root. Why do we have our communities in this position when previously our communities operated autonomously outside of all these L's? I ain't saying that black people were perfect. We ain't had no jails, but we understood how to operate. We understood justice. We understood reciprocity, retribution, and we dealt with it. When can someone else describe a history where we didn't understand those concepts? We unfortunately in the 18th, 19th century are arguing the Negroes' path to get free. This should be we should get a freebie for the 18th, 19th centuries because we were trying to get free. So I don't know. I'm still ready for the Source Award. So if you got something to the contrary of that, I don't want to see that. I don't care who it is. If you got something to the contrary of exclaiming African heritage while also affecting African American citizenry, any challenge to that, I want to see that. Anyone who thought the African did not want to be a citizen, I want to see that challenge.
That's a non-challenge right there, bro.
Yeah, nah.
That's a
But
non-challenge.
Looking at chat, yo.
But I can show you where those brothers and sisters was coming together and they didn't have to worry about being called an op. I can show you that.
Right. Come read the chat. It says, right, when we going to share history that we can apply today. Zane,
Say
I'm gonna
what,
give an
bro?
example again.
Go
This is for
ahead.
Zane in the comment. This is for Zane in the comment he left in the chat. Zane, you have legislation currently that questions American history. It suggests that school teachers, superintendents, curricula not teach about your ancestors' enslavement. It furthermore suggests that the individual who perpetuated that terror weren't morally wrong. The KKK was just, another group of people. That's happening right now.
right,
They won't tell you about Frazier Baker's head being shot off while he was holding that baby. Subsequently, his brains was shot out of his head because all he was doing was passing out mail. Yo, we don't have to argue with these folk, man. We don't have to argue with these folk in regards to morality, in regards to civility, humanity, because that Frazier Baker was the damn springboard to the Afro American Council. How is it that a public official can be killed, murdered, family be shot up in a home this way? This is a presidential appointment. And he lives in a country where his descendants say racism and white supremacy didn't exist. These niggas is bugging. This is not an argument. If you disagree with what the ancestors was putting forth, I want to hear you right now if you in the room, because racism and white supremacy put you at the starting point. Now we can argue the subsequent effects, free will, decision making, All right, I'm not arguing with that. But the reason that your ancestors was in their current position, why you don't have no ancestry or wealth, is because of the actions that predated them. The terror, white supremacy that people use currently to substantiate a war that lasted for 20 years. Your ancestors dealt with that every day. I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Jordan, Egypt. I know what they were saying. But I know my grandmother and my great grandmother told me a story that was similar. They lived in Goldsboro, North Carolina, their whole life and described it, and it was a consensus. We had a newspaper called the Ku Klux Kaleidoscope, but people tell me that racism and white supremacy doesn't exist. Why do you need a Ku Klux newspaper? So if you agree with these sentiments that the black community is responsible for this current state, I need you to hit that link, man.
Coach.
Yeah, bro, I'm right here.
All right. All right. So now we just get into the sources.
Show me how the Irishman dealt with that.
Hey, whoop the
How the
ass.
Scottish dealt with that. Any Listen, immigration was cool when it was a European. When it was a European, immigration was okay when they didn't want to employ an African or someone of African descent. It was okay to use immigration. But when they was plus them day political numbers, we got African Americans ready to decrease it because they issue with an immigrant black. Bro, we got the game twisted. The white boy don't do that. The Frenchman that comes to America in a year or two is considered white. Somebody prove me wrong. The African that come here is considered black and assumes all the disprivileges of somebody with that type of skin and culture.
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I just
No.
want to know, cause y'all want to pull out the sources. I want to because I'm not leaving Dorothy Porter joint.
Okay, then we stick in there.
I don't want to leave Dorothy Porter. Explain to me, industrialization and the Negro, because these niggas gonna saying we gonna just gonna pray for our liberation. We not just gonna give you a the Juba to all of them out. They won't saying that shit. They won't saying that. So I want to know what the discontent for the ancestors is. Even the ones that decided to go more politically, legislatively. Yo, they freed you. Yo, come on, man. Come on, yo. That's cake, man. Anyone against that side is dead. What Ogo on that, yo? Ogo, can you hear me?
Talking shit.
Ogo, where you at, yo? What Ogo on that, yo? Because he know. Cause listen, I want to make sure I get it from the culture. I'm not born and raised in Atlanta. I'm from Goldsboro, North Carolina, so I want to make sure if I give Atlanta
Yeah,
history, I get it from
Coach
somebody
ain't
that's
talking
from
right
Atlanta.
there. I already hollered at it. He thinking
I
about it.
mean, John Lewis got a goddamn mural on Auburn Avenue. Does he not? Does John Lewis not have a mural on Auburn Avenue? It's about 3 or 4 stories high. Or going in the chat. Hopefully he can hear me. I just want to make sure the brother or the ancestor got a goddamn mural. Damn, I need more dogs.
Saneb on fire.
Yo, does John Lewis have a mural on Auburn Ave? Peace to the ancestor,
Yes, he does.
man. All right. So, does John Lewis have a goddamn mural on Auburn Ave because he was an Indian?
No.
All right, man. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure I ain't bugging, man.
Cutting up.
Good trouble. See,
Who, me?
I don't know. I don't know if other coaches venerate their ancestors. I do. I don't know if John Lewis was my ancestors, but it makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he is. Even if he isn't, I'm a venerator. That somebody sent you a link to the Squancho. Goddamn memorial, yo.
Nah, bro, supposed to go in with your with the John y'all having like the 9th, right? The
Say it
festival.
again.
You're having a festival the 9th, right?
Hey, I'm still because me and old Gun were just talking about it. The Yoruba culture in Atlanta right now is more E5 centered, but there's people who have exercised to an extent to include Isheshe. So, me, how I do, I always try to remain as, closest to the original as possible. But I understand how the culture is moving. So, um, Atlanta right now is the new Yoruba land. I'm gonna give Black Panther credit. It is because I don't see nowhere else in America you're able to explain Black culture and affect Black culture, and it's understood. Ogun Bola understands what I say from a Sheshe perspective. I don't have to go too deep and get into an argument with the brother. If you don't know what Isheshe is, you just gotta educate yourself on what Isheshe is. It's not an Abrahamic end all be all theology. So it's cool that we had these rooms because at the end of the day, it's gonna come to us having this conversation on theology. You're gonna have to say where you get your theology from. Some gonna say they got it from a European. Some gonna say they got it from their grandma. Some gonna say, it's gonna be that kind of conversation. But at least we are prepared for it. We're not gonna be bamboozled when it comes to it. But we can all respect why we at that certain point, right?
Hey, can I
So
ask you a question, man? And you know
what's
what I'm
up?
saying? If you don't want to answer it, I understand. I just,
You
saying.
know I answer all questions, man.
Okay, man, I be because of course, I don't say this before. I watch that word, pseudo. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why is because, like, I know my brother, what he practiced. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so my thing for the people that say that the spiritual systems and all this other stuff is pseudo. How do you feel about that word when it pertains to your spiritual system, bro?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't, you know, I was fortunate enough to be raised by my grandparents. I knew my great grandparents. I also knew that the stuff I was hearing on Sundays didn't coalesce with what I was seeing on Monday through Saturdays. So I understood that it was more than what I was hearing on Sundays. So from the sense of community, I saw how it manifested. The theology is where I did see the community come to a rift. But there's always a certain standard in the culture that was exclaimed culture. If
Mm-hmm.
you lived outside of that culture, then you was considered a op. So, but yet and still in the 18, 1900s, we got to put it in the context. My grandfather was the preacher steward. My grandmother was the head deaconess to AME Zion Church. I from a 13, 14, 15 year old, I wasn't mature enough to understand that dynamic and why I was so, they had to make sure I wasn't doing shit I wasn't supposed to be doing because of their level or status in society. I didn't understand it. But even through all of that, I missed the overall fact that our culture came with standards. You couldn't be just doing whatever the fuck you want to be doing. You couldn't be out of character or out of order without someone from your community checking your ass. And then when you get home, you may get checked again because your granddaddy, grandma, mama, and daddy don't find out. So it's not like that right now. So it's difficult as we sort of try to evolve black culture to a new day because there's no when before my grandmother was the standard, my grandfather was the standard. And before you could have walked on water, you weren't gonna get past them based off what I witnessed them being able to do in our community. And I think black people overall maintain that same level of topography when describing black people in history. But for the new Negro, how do we translate that from the 21st century or to the 21st century, even in these suburban areas to where this history is still important? I find it difficult and with my kids to make it relevant, even though, you got new shows that still point to it, but it's difficult to get a baby to go grab a book that's 50 years old off the shelf. It's even if I give it to him every day. But again, you can't be a black person, an African American, somebody of African descent, and go against what I'm saying right now.
I got you, bro. I just, what I'm saying, I just be asking, man, what I'm saying, because I know, I understand the whole ideology thing. I understand why it was needed for us at the time that it was started. I have much respect for everyone who started an organization for black people. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what it turned into, all of them had the idea of let's try to make things better. But I hear, especially now, everybody calling everything, pseudo. But I'm just like, okay, how you tell this man that he's practicing his culture? You know what I'm saying? This man is practicing his culture, something that's been passed down from his culture. That, oh man, look, regardless of what your culture is, that's just pseudo. And you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, man. I mean, laugh. I'm reading the mess Ogun put in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
No,
saying, man.
you on point, and it
Yeah,
makes sense.
that's my thing, bro. So I choose, that word. I really don't try to use it, but you know what I'm saying. I choose to use that word. You know what I'm saying? Um, what's the word I'm looking for? I choose not to use it, and you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, how can I tell this man that something that I don't understand, something that I'm not part of? No, some man, because I'm not part of it, it's just pseudo, or because I don't want to believe in this, it's pseudo. So you know what I'm saying? That's my thing with that. And of course, with this community that everybody that we in, that black people in, the wokeness of black people. You know what I'm saying? Everything that I disagree with is gonna be pseudo. So that's my thing, man. I just when I run across people that practice the what I'm saying, the African traditions or as a culture and part of the spirituality, I just ask them how they feel about it. Because I know how Ogun feel about it. So you know what I'm saying? I just be hearing people use it and saying it, and then like I'm like, okay.
I'm with you. I mean, we just had these conversations where you may not catch a Larry Elder or one of these other black folks who are from that persuasion because though I agree that they may disagree with the consensus of black folks. I think their opinion is necessary because not only are we able to deal with it, we able to fashion a sort of curriculum that is opposite of it, based on the conquering of that premise. So Larry Elder acknowledging people who owe money that are white. Yeah, who are these people? Who should be owed money for having enslaved Africans? Do you
Okay,
think
let me ask you this.
do
Let me
you
ask you
do,
this,
do,
man.
do real quick, do you think modern corporations are willing to raise their hands and say, yeah, we own black folks? We was one of those corporations. Do you do would that not raise the level of monetary gains from this reparative justice claim?
Well, that was going to fall into the question I was going to ask you. Okay, let's just say, let's just, hypothetically speaking, fantasy land, pseudo think. Let's say, okay, look, black people started to get reparations. Let's just say we started to get the reparations, um, and then what? After we get the reparations, or the process of reparations started, then what?
See how you gotta do?
Caddy,
You gotta write a goddamn TV series to sort of equate the goddamn shortness of the European. I'm not knocking you. I'm just acknowledging that it's a feat.
So when I,
But you have black folks currently are on like Larry Elder who are unwilling to acknowledge that. Damn, I'm out of papers, man. That hurt my feelings.
so when I,
what hurt your feelings,
I
bro?
said I'm out of papers, man. God damn.
That shit hurt your feelings. I got like 4 packs of cones.
I told my son, my daughter, she about to turn 17. She's so like, yeah, I'm ready to drive. I'm like, yo, baby girl, you don't understand. You just want to drive. You gonna come to a point where you ain't trying to drive no more.
yeah, want to hit them keys, and don't want to have them keys in the
And me going to the
hand.
store to get some papers is like, yo, come on, yo.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
But yeah, man, what happens? Let's say we start getting
Oh, nah, I jumped back in. I apologize, fellas. I'm about to jump off of here, bro. Do you want to take over the show?
who that?
You to continue the drum, the
So
bill. You my bad.
we not having source of war. We not having source of wars no more.
It got super deep. It kind of like there's somebody I gotta Staples.
That
Uh,
was for man. Well, we'll have a source of war another night. So Nell, man, I want to say once again,
I apologize. Let me thank you very much. Yeah.
yeah, I'm finna say, so Nell, appreciate, man. And I'll say this on air to anybody, man. I look at you as a great teacher of the
Absolutely.
information. Maybe it's an honor to sit up and throw jabs at you and take a couple jabs from you. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we can get you on here again with these source awards. Um,
Yeah, I
but
do apologize.
yeah, I'm a dip. I'm
Hey,
looking at
y'all.
time, but go
First
ahead,
of
bro.
all, y'all know I ain't letting no miss like that go by. It's not Saneb, it's y'all. It's us being able to form a group, a coalition, a collective that's as interested in Black history as somebody individually is. I appreciate the ability to be around y'all and have this conversation and everybody be able to comprehend and provide constructive criticism to someone's idea of what Black people is, what Black history is. So y'all are just as included in this as I am. So, furthermore, I'm not letting y'all run from the original premise. I'm not letting you run
I do it.
because I'm ready for the rebellious African versus the non-rebellious African, and how either or navigated racism and white supremacy. You're not going to win if you subscribe to the rebellious African. Then
Yes.
you're not going to win. You're not going to win.
I
Listen,
uh,
there is no movement in history that is equates to the legislative history of the African. You're not gonna get around it.
Haiti.
We talking about in America,
Okay, I
the
just
the
checked.
Negro. I mean, even Negro and Haiti didn't employ the same provisions that people that
North
are that
Carolina,
that.
but then they murdered them all.
No,
You know
no,
what I'm
no. We talking about black people that decided that they are going to form an independent body. Now, if you the
saying? Nah,
independent
there's
body that
no.
was more rebellious, show me the successful rebellious Negro. If you're the Negro that's more political, show me the political Negro. The political Negro has affected more change than the rebellious Negro. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment are evident. The rebellious Negro in Jamaica was snatching up other rebellious Negroes,
Okay, but at
right
what
or
point
wrong.
do we have to?
No, wait a minute, wait a
Okay,
minute. We
nah,
gotta
Saneb,
bear witness
hold
to.
on,
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a
you
minute.
are, I got something for you. I got
No,
something.
we gotta get some stuff clear. After the first
Okay.
Maroon War, did Cudjo say, "I'ma bring y'all the rebellious Negroes"?
No, hold
That's
on,
not
bro.
true, bro. We can't
Hold
go no
on.
further. If we can't acknowledge
We
that,
can't.
we
Hold
can't
on,
go no further.
bro.
What was the treaty?
I don't know which treaty you're talking about.
So we talking about after the first Maroon War in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Hold up, wait a minute. We're gonna pull it
Was
up
this
right
He talking
here.
18?
about the treaty. He talking about the treaty with
No,
Morocco.
no, no, because I got an eye for y'all rebellious Negroes, cause y'all be placated.
He talking
I
about
ain't
the treaty
placate.
of
No, 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 no. Cudjo's Town. When was Cudjo's Town?
Hold on,
Huh?
bro. Hold
Everybody
on.
with me? This
Hold
is
on,
this
though.
is this is. Wait a minute, because initially the Maroons that fled the British formed their own Maroon communities, right?
Talking about Negro Fort.
I'm talking about the Maroons, the Africans in Jamaica.
I thought we sticking to America. Why are you going crazy on me?
That is America. What do you mean?
I mean, come on, bro.
Which America you want? North America?
I thought that's what you were saying because when I said Haiti,
Got you, but that's not America.
right? But all right, whatever, nigga. You win,
That's not
right?
America. Haiti's not
Not
America.
correct. But I'm saying to you, a rebellion that broke away.
Which rebellion you want to start with?
Hold, I can't, Saneb, not right now. I fucked up. We were
Nah, we gotta make sure we identify the time frame so we not just
okay.
rambling.
Listen. All right, right. So what time frame would you like to work with?
I said the Second Maroon War.
Second Maroon War. Hold
Yes, sir. That's the 1800s, right?
on.
That's
No,
when
no,
that's the I'm gonna build. That's the Second Maroon War. That's 1795. That's when the British, right, won. I guess won that battle, right? And they
Saneb, you went. Did you just mute? You all right? You're about to go crazy. You acting like my little pretty thing over there. What, bruh? Saneb, too much. We there. That will be the same.
you hear me?
Nah, now I can.
Okay, bet.
Oh,
But you get my point though.
I do. On some real shit, I do.
So we talking about black people defining black people during a period of time where black people existed. you can't get around it. I know you trying to figure out a way to get around it, but you can't get around it.
I'm not. You win. I swear to God. You're right. I was trying to at first, but it didn't work. But here's where I'm at though, right? Don't get me wrong. We don't got the numbers to win that. We don't have the machinery. We don't got control of water, food, land, shit that we would need for a real urban type of let's get busy. Um, and I'm not advocating that at all. What I'm advocating is that we exercise our rights in a way that makes our presence felt when these things are happening in our community. Not just wanton violence, but let's focus our self defense. And so, if we know that a bully punched in his motherfucking face is going to think about hitting you again, I think we use those same types of tactics. So, what I mean is that if a kid is getting his ass whooped by these police officers in a particular neighborhood, and this is a consistent thing, I think it's the duty and right of that neighborhood to arm themselves and defend them children and themselves from the type of violence that they are succumbing to. Now, I do not think that we should be forming weird militias to try to go against the government on some fucking weird shit. No, but again, we go. I'm using the bully analogy as the easiest way to show you what I mean. Is that together with a show of force, uh, they would less. They'll be more less likely to try to hop out and whoop your ass if they know 300 people might show up to try to burn this shit down, and not just anything
I'm
down.
with you,
But
man.
yeah, you know what I mean. And go through all the legal means. I always say legal gun ownership, learn how to use a
So
firearm.
what do you say to political abolitionism in the 18th, 19th century when faced with the paramilitary, KKK,
Mhm,
Knights of the White Camellia,
mhm.
those type of organizations that committed violence against black people specifically, to be clear, what would you say to somebody in 2021 who feels like they can sort of affect that type of violence on the black population? Because
I
we
say get
forget,
guns.
see,
Like we
because
just get guns.
I'm gonna preface it. I'm
Straight
gonna
up.
preface it like this. I'm gonna preface it like this because I was asked specifically about my understanding of American politics when it includes the Negro.
Mhm,
So, and our ability to, insurrect.
mhm.
Our effectiveness to insurrect is one point, but the idea of why we're insurrecting is separate.
Yes.
So, the ability for the African to not only secure freedom, but civil liberties have become two separate wars. And unfortunately, the war for civil liberties have been used against our freedom because we're supposed to be solace with the freedom that we have. But at the same time, we're being taxed, but we're not including in this individual citizen claim.
Mhm.
So, regardless of your theology, the African was considered less than a person. I don't give a fuck if you was a goddamn Mason, Christian, Catholic, you was less than a human being. So I don't care what your ideology is, the African was separate. So that should be enough to unify the African's descendants. And from my reading and studying and understanding, those Africans in the 16th, 17th, 18th century understood that shit and they moved that way. We have the sort of fetish with color.
Mhm.
The ones in the 16th and 17th century didn't give a fuck about that shit. They were trying to find whatever movement was appropriate to ameliorate not only their condition, but the condition of their offspring.
I'm agreeing. No.
So
That's
why
what
do
we
we
discussed.
challenge? So why do we challenge the bougie Negro now? Then that's a
I,
continuation.
no, what I'm saying is we gotta get past the bougie shit. That's what I'm agreeing with you. That
But
let's
but
just
but
get
but
on
why challenge the bougie? But why challenge the Negro that said we need to establish rules? See, I used to not like the boys, but shit, they may need to be a goddamn silo of information. because niggas think that King James was black.
I can't.
My
Don't.
baby laughing at that shit.
Yeah,
My baby laughing.
no,
My
man.
baby laughing at that.
Is this that
Like
bullshit?
people think King James was black.
But come
You
on, no,
gonna give him. So wait a minute. So you gonna give the nigga who think King James is black the launch codes?
fuck no. That's my point. Like, okay,
How do we differentiate from the nigga who get the launch codes to somebody who think that King James, like, yo,
yeah, King
people
James.
think that people misconstrue epithets with titles. That's why somebody can say that somebody that's called a black control Ireland, but don't understand that that was an epithet, or don't understand what an epithet is.
You gotta mute them, bruh. And we got.
Nah, my nigga, they writing books. They writing books. Them the people that when we on Clubhouse, them the people who have the opposing opinion. That's what they using.
But this is the point. This is what I was saying about too many talking heads. At some point, that bullshit runs out. Now, I think that you, the rest of us, are grabbing at the right strings and pulling in the right people who are really active in life, like not on some bullshit, like bro with the coffee shop, like young girl with the tea, like coach being involved in the community, like bro with his podcast and other things he got coming. You see what I'm saying? Like me, I got a an art store, so it's like I'm like uh I'm like these conversations uh have to happen, but we have to exclude those nut jobs, bruh, because they're already the minority of the minority of the minority. They the fucking weirdos for real. And not to, take away from spiritual medicine or anything like that or healthy living wherever you find it or the beliefs that you may have, but some shit is just bullshit and it can't really be backed up. We fall into these mythical traps and shit that goes on because we're flooded with bullshit with that acceptance shit. And that's where we talking about the boule and all these bougie niggas and shit. It's this whole acceptance thing. Now, accept the fact that you're black. And once that
Hey,
happens,
no. I'm playing devil's advocate tonight.
I
Yo,
know,
the
I know.
bougie Negro. No. The bougie Negro didn't give you no Woodrow Ali.
Nah, dumb shit. This is my point where we try
No. Wait,
migration.
wait a minute. Because we discounting the Negro who didn't have theology.
No, I'm not. Like I said, there's
That
two
Negro
sides.
didn't
So
give you no Woodrow Ali.
I'm not gonna
That
stop
Negro
being
didn't
there.
give you follow the vine.
I'm agreeing with you.
He
There,
didn't give
like
you
I said,
Malachi York.
it's two sides to that.
No.
It's two sides to that.
Yo, no. Willis Huggins was not the other side of Malachi York.
True.
All right,
But
so there was no other side. There
What
was
was
no
Willis Huggins
duality.
doing though? Well, what was Willis Huggins doing that got him?
Willis Huggins was teaching black
What was he
history.
doing that got him murdered?
He was teaching black history.
Yeah, who did it?
So let's go tit for tat. Wait a minute. What was William Leo Hansberry teaching?
Oh, come on, bro. Hold on, listen.
That's the
No,
same.
first of all,
That's
I
the
gotta
same
go.
time period.
This is the longest show
No,
ever.
don't leave. No, don't leave
I'm not
because
trying to diss you.
no,
I
no, no,
swear to
no.
God. Listen,
Because you decided you wanted to use my ancestor scholars. You brought them up. You brought my ancestor scholars up. You wanted to bring up Willis Huggins, but forgot
yeah.
about William Leo Hansberry.
Oh my God. Listen, hold on. Time out. Can we hold on? Let me.
Wait a minute.
You
Wait
is
a minute.
slaughtering me right now.
Do you have William Leo Hansberry's work?
Yes, give me. Hold on. I can't listen.
Did you read it?
You beat
Did
me.
you
No,
read it?
I told you, I'm fucked up over.
Yo, come on,
Harrison. He
no.
has
We gotta
fucked me
start
up.
from scratch. We gotta start from scratch.
Yo, you can't just beat me up here today.
If you gonna bring up, listen, if you gonna hit me in the head with William Leo Hansberry, but you ain't read Leo Hansberry, nah.
But I can hit
Nah.
you with you. You have completely trying to attack me tonight. You have chosen violence, sir.
No. I'm gonna correct it. Ogun came to a room that I was in. Pieced up. Listen, Omo Oduduwa. My brother came in and said that you was in the room. Y'all were challenging me. Y'all said that y'all been calling me out all day.
All day. And then
Ogun
Coach
said y'all
ran
been
off
calling me out
on me.
all. Listen, and I came to y'all. I presented you with Dorothy Porter.
Yes, you did.
And if y'all wasn't up on Dorothy Porter, I acknowledge that y'all was behind that. I was like, listen, you gotta get on Dorothy Porter.
Yes.
And that's a sister, just for the men around.
Yes.
You know, Dorothy Porter, Negro writing, that's a sister now. Mavis Campbell. If you haven't read Mavis Campbell,
I just got
Mavis,
Felder.
but Raymond, I'm gonna say this one more time. Mavis
Campbell.
Campbell, Mavis Campbell, goddamn Back to Africa, goddamn George Ross, and the Maroons. I'm telling you, I'm not using what Saneb say to make the point. I'm using what the people who said during that time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn who Mavis Campbell
I
is.
just pulled up all her shit.
Mavis Campbell, listen, peace to that sister. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
I deal with the primaries, man. I don't have time to debate what black folks said in the 1800s, man, or the 18th century, man. What Mavis Campbell presented you with the journal, so if you need to make sure that you got them joints, man, because I don't know too many people
I'm
know who
about to
Mavis
get
Campbell
every
was.
single
Did
one.
you? I don't know who knew who Mavis Campbell was.
I didn't. I'm glad you put me on some real shit. After
So
I
we
tear
know who Mavis Campbell is.
yo, when I
Is
get
that a black woman?
yes,
Wait a
it
minute,
is.
is that a
Got a
black woman?
beautiful afro too. Her afro is amazing.
Okay, that's a black woman, right? Okay.
She will make my sketchbook. Trust me.
So that's a black woman talking about black history.
Yes.
Okay,
She
I was gonna
has
make
the
sure.
Maroons of Jamaica, back to Africa, becoming believed.
Amherst, a doctorate from what was it, Amherst?
The
So
black
this
woman
is
at Amherst.
okay. So this is a black woman who's credible. Okay,
Yeah, no, she's serious. The dynamic.
because people say black folks didn't go to school. Black folks didn't go to school. So I want to make sure that's a black person that went to school. So
Right. She definitely is serious.
so piece of Davis can't like listen.
I'm listening.
If you read it in Nebuchadnezzar Scrolls,
Now listen,
you're
I'm
not
gonna have
gonna.
the digital version somewhere of this Maroons of Jamaica. Listen, sir, $108. Okay, no, the paperback's a little cheaper.
So no. If you talking about Back to Africa, George Ross and the Maroons,
Hold on, George Ross.
yeah, get that. That should be on Amazon for cheap.
Hold on, man. Some white dude.
I'm with you. I ain't gonna leave. I make sure because that should be an easy, $10, $11 book.
And what's it called again?
It's
Back to
called
Africa.
Back to Africa. Um, goddamn Maroon. It should be like from Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone.
There it is.
I bet. It
Yep.
should be. It's Mavis C. Campbell. Okay, bet.
Yep.
So Mavis C. Campbell went through George Ross' journal, who at the time was in charge of delivering those 550 some Jamaican Maroons from the Second Maroon War to Nova Scotia, because originally they were, to Sierra Leone, because originally after the Second Maroon War they were exiled to Nova Scotia because of the climate in Nova Scotia. Of course, it's colder from Jamaica. They wanted to leave this area. So with those early black Afro Americans who just fought or who have evacuated in 1783, they settled Sierra Leone in 1800. So that's George Ross, who was in charge of delivering those 550 Maroons. And the important part that sort of ties in history is those Nova Scotians those original Afro Americans who fought for the British, who were considered black loyalists, they rebelled against the British crown. So the arrival of those 550 tested Moors, they assisted the British in quelling the Nova Scotians in their rebellion. Because the Nova Scotians was like, yo, y'all, we not getting provisions. Y'all not treating us well. This is not what y'all envisioned. So we banging on y'all. So that's a very important piece of the history that people leave out, that those 550 Maroons that settled Nova Scotia were used to sort of quell an insurrection that was manifested by those Afro American, those British black loyalists who came to this land after the Revolutionary War.
Damn. Yeah, you dug into this shit. I'm gonna let you get your W right now. I'm gonna have to go to the drawing board. I apologize. I was talking shit. I got
No,
my
you ain't
ass.
gotta apologize, bro. You ain't gotta apologize. No,
And
don't
then
do
he
it
gonna
like
be
that.
humble about it too. He's deep. I got Feldered out here.
Well, Ogon that, because no. I ain't gonna let them put that all on you because Ogon came in. Ogon was saying that, y'all been called out twice. So, I don't want them to put all that pressure on you. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I just appreciate black people who want to have this conversation and during this time when a reparative justice claim is presented, it's beneficial to have black people who understand the history,
Yes.
right? So, peace to Ogun, peace to Coach.
Thank you for
I
coming,
ain't,
bro.
I ain't, I ain't never ran from no link, so I'm gonna make sure that's clear. Saneb ain't never ran from no link. He ain't never
At
ran
all.
from no invite.
Then he
So,
showed up like Clubber Lang out here with $1. He
that's
just talked shit the
yo
whole night.
the early Negro writing by Dorothy Porter, piece of that ancestor. Like she, compile the necessary ammunition to deal with our present situation. Black folks have a very unique posture in American history, and we shouldn't allow anyone who doesn't have a history of our greats to take us from that. So,
That's
subscribe to these brothers' channel, man, the Black Brown Table. Follow them, subscribe to them. You know, they gonna make sure you on the right track. So I'm just appreciative that I know who these brothers is. So
Thank you. Thank you very much for showing up. And again, Dorothy Porter, Early Negro Writing, 1760 to 1837. Subscribe, like the show, share it to your friends. Shout to each one, teach one. Yo, I got slaughtered tonight. And I will be reading this book. I will be talking shit about it once I'm done reading it and getting some more information together. Everybody, you should have your sources. A lot of black people
yeah,
wrote a lot of black things. And so y'all good night. And again, Saneb, thanks for showing up tonight, bro. For real. Good
oh
looking.
no doubt, anytime.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Peace.